Tucked beneath the earth, where roots twist through centuries and silence hangs like fog, lies a history long concealed. These aren't just bunkers. They're time capsules of a regime built on secrecy, ambition, and control. Hidden beneath forests, meadows, and crumbling ruins, forgotten Nazi strongholds are surfacing across Europe, unlocking eerie remnants of a war that never truly left the soil. What lies within these subterranean fortresses will leave even the most seasoned historians breathless. Imagine moving into your dream home, only to discover a trap door leading to the past. That's exactly what happened in Normandy, when whispers of something buried deep led historian Gary Stern to an old military uniform. Tucked in its pocket? A hand-drawn map. What it led to was more than a simple relic. It was the buried Mazy Battery, a massive artillery site hidden under decades of tangled growth and silence. The moment Stern stepped inside, it was as though 1944 had been preserved in dust. Tunnels sprawled beneath the land like veins, bunkers lined with rusted tools, walls still draped with faded insignia. There was even a medical center intact. One can almost hear the heavy boots echoing through those narrow halls. Mazy wasn't a footnote in history. It was a command post targeting Omaha and Utah beaches. Some bunkers kept firing even after D-Day, a chilling reminder that the fight lingered longer than most believed. Today, visitors walk those same passageways, and even though much has decayed, the air still feels thick with tension, like the ghosts of conflict haven't quite left. And then there's the infamous Berlin bunker, perhaps the most notorious of them all. Beneath the Reich Chancellery, the Führer bunker stood as the command center in the war's dying days. Soviet forces entered in 1945 expecting ruin, but found instead a scene locked in tragic stillness. Over 30 rooms remained, Hitler's private quarters, war rooms, offices, all eerily frozen in time. Furniture stolen from chancellery halls, oil portraits still mounted on walls, even the map room's war-torn layout sat untouched. An old switchboard in the communications room whispered of desperate final calls. Though much of it was eventually sealed or destroyed, fragments remain as scars on Berlin's modern face. A silent but unflinching witness to an empire's end. It's not what they found, but what they felt that resonates, that stillness, that pause in time, that haunting realization that history's darkest chapters don't always fade away. They hide, waiting. Further west, nestled in a French chalk quarry, lies the massive La Coupole bunker, once envisioned as the launch pad for V-2 rockets destined for London. Construction halted when Allied bombs rained down, freezing the site in mid-dream or nightmare. Today, La Coupole has been reborn, not forgotten. The museum now housed within its concrete shell doesn't simply preserve, it immerses. Visitors move through preserved tunnels beneath the immense dome, standing inches from a real V-2 rocket, the only one of its kind displayed in France. Alongside are V-1 flying bombs, relics from fallen Allied planes, and drawings sketched by a concentration camp survivor who once built these weapons under duress. There's even a chilling replica of the Hiroshima bomb, an echo of what could have been. But La Coupole doesn't just teach war. It shows resistance, courage. It speaks softly through artifacts, urging us to remember not just how it was built, but why it must never be again. On the island of Jersey, a different kind of echo lives. Deep underground, the Jersey war tunnels remain as one of the most sobering Nazi constructions still accessible today. Originally carved to serve as a medical refuge, these tunnels were shaped not just by machinery, but by hands. Below ground, over 300 feet deep, rooms were carved to protect the crew. Though the weapon never fired, the ambition behind it was chilling enough. Beneath a modest countryside home in Norway, echoes of a buried history lingered in chilling detail. Signs in both German and Norwegian whispered stories long silenced, while the bunker's kitchen stood untouched, its steel counters and ovens still lined up as if waiting for their next command. The air inside was stale, tinged with something chemical that clung to the throat. One explorer, overcome by nausea, had to leave abruptly, but the mystery called him back. There was something deeper than dust and silence pulling him in. Beneath that stillness, the past seemed to breathe. Now picture an ordinary 1950s home in rural Essex. A quiet front yard, birdsong overhead. But just steps inside, a heavy metal hatch in the floor reveals a startling secret. A tunnel leading nearly 400 feet underground to a sprawling Cold War stronghold known as Kelvedon Hatch. Though it was constructed in the post-war years, the structure bore signs of deeper roots. Older, hidden links to World War II. Behind thick concrete walls were dormitories, briefing rooms, and a fully equipped medical station. But what captured attention most was a hidden exit tunnel, still intact, that seemed engineered for rapid escape. Power generators once capable of running for months lay dormant. Even the kitchen, eerily pristine, hinted at a life prepared for but never lived. It wasn't just a relic, it was a blueprint for survival. Hidden among the trees in northeastern Poland lies what remains of Hitler's former Eastern Command, the Wolf's Lair. Concrete ruins crumble into the earth, but below them, the forest still holds secrets. A recent excavation near a former Luftwaffe villa revealed a shallow grave under warped wooden beams. 5 skeletons. No clothing, no identification, and in a harrowing detail, all missing their hands and feet. Among them, 3 adults, a child, and an infant. Nothing about this find made sense. Not the location, once one of the most secure Nazi strongholds, nor the silent burial. It's discoveries like this that whisper questions louder than any history book ever could. Just when you think you've heard it all, a World War II air raid bunker in Dortmund, Germany, flips the script completely. Tucked under city streets, archaeologists unearthed a fully preserved 1970s bar that had been sealed shut for decades. The underground space, originally a wartime shelter, was converted post-war into a neighborhood pub, a place where people sought joy in the aftermath of chaos. When the team stepped inside, they were stunned. Bar stools were still tucked under the counter. Dust-covered bottles remained behind the bar. A menu offered pineapple-topped sundaes and bratwurst platters, frozen in time. This was no ruin. This was a moment, perfectly paused. Thousands of miles away, a remote Argentinian farm in the region of Chaco stirred global intrigue when a long-rumored structure was finally uncovered. Hidden beneath farmland, a bunker buried in silence had long been associated with theories of Nazi escapes. What was found inside raised eyebrows worldwide. Rusting weapons, German documents, and propaganda symbols nearly untouched by time. The layout of the space was strategic. Multiple rooms, concealed compartments, and a design that military veterans said resembled secure facilities used in modern-day operations. Adding to the mystery, the family owning the land had German roots, though they claimed ignorance. Sometimes what people deny speaks louder than what they say. Back in Poland, near the village of Mamerki, a network of forgotten bunkers stirred speculation once more. And then there's the Nuremberg bunker. Not a military installation, but an underground gallery unlike anything else. Constructed in anticipation of Allied bombings, this vault was a secret warehouse for priceless art looted by the Nazis. Hundreds of pieces, from Renaissance paintings to sculptures, were stored deep beneath the city's castle. For decades, most of it was returned. But not all. Recent inspections of the site uncovered a hidden storage compartment, sealed behind reinforced concrete. Inside were crates never documented in recovery lists, and within those, partially damaged artwork believed to have never been publicly seen. Could this be just a fraction of what's still missing? Each of these sites, scattered across the globe, offers more than just artifacts. They serve as emotional time capsules, echoing with voices we'll never hear, but whose presence still lingers in every hallway, every sealed door, every silent room. The chilling part isn't just what's been found. It's what hasn't. Some answers are still locked beneath layers of earth and silence. Others, perhaps, were never meant to surface. The art bunker beneath Nuremberg's Castle Hill might have looked like any other wartime shelter from the outside, but inside, it held the pulse of an empire's obsession. Carved into the mountain, it served not to protect lives, but legacies. Decades after the fall of the Third Reich, investigators were still uncovering what remained. Relics once touched by emperors, now coated in dust and silence. Among them, the jeweled crown of the Holy Roman Empire glimmered faintly in the dim light. Nearby, the Bohème Globe, a handcrafted sphere from 1492, seemed almost untouched by time. Each artifact whispered of ambition, conquest, and the fragility of human pride. A centuries-old watch, one of the first pocket timepieces ever made, still ticked faintly. But some pieces didn't belong. Paintings and sculptures from occupied territories smuggled into the bunker under the veil of war reminded the world that cultural treasures too often travel on the heels of sorrow. Fast forward to Latvia, where a simple field concealed a secret, undisturbed for 70 years. What started with a farmer's tip turned into one of the most remarkable recoveries in recent memory. Beneath layers of moss and earth, 4 local historians unearthed a World War II bunker frozen in time. Collapsed beds, rusting stoves, and wooden floors spoke of young soldiers stationed here, never to return. One unearthed desk still stood perfectly in place, as if waiting for someone to sit back down. But the moment that chilled the entire team was the discovery of a grenade, fuse intact. A stark reminder that not all remnants of war have lost their sting. Each step through that space felt like stepping back into a chapter the world tried to forget. Beneath Berlin, in the final days of a dying regime, Hitler's bunker turned into both command post and tomb of ambition. After the war, when Allied forces finally pushed into the compound, they found not just broken furniture and crumbling walls, but something far more haunting. Tucked among ashes and scattered documents were 70 wartime telegrams, fragile but legible. One read simply, "The chief will remain here, no matter what," a line that carried the weight of hopeless defiance. Another was Göring's last attempt to seize power, inked in haste. Among all this was a child's drawing, flowers, insects, sunshine, sent by Bormann's daughter. In the darkest days of war, innocence still reached in, unaware of what surrounded it. It's moments like these that stop you cold. Now imagine finding childhood memories buried under tons of rubble. A staircase led to what's believed to be the personal quarters of the dictator himself. Beside it, a door reinforced to withstand almost anything, and a stone engraved with the symbol of his private guard. Items once handled by history's most infamous figures now rest behind glass, part of a growing museum. But their weight is still felt. They don't just represent events, they represent choices, consequences, and a world that almost forgot. And then came the discovery that stunned everyone. Hidden beneath the hills of Austria near St. Georgen an der Gusen, a massive 75-acre underground site was found, believed to be one of the largest Nazi weapons development facilities. For decades, it remained completely untouched, protected by thick rock and earth. As teams ventured deeper, what they found was chilling: radiation spikes, traces of high-level experiments, and signs that Nazi scientists had been working on weapons of staggering power. Documents linked the lab to SS General Hans Kammler, known for his involvement in missile development and far darker programs. These tunnels told a story not just of ambition, but of desperation. A last gamble by a regime falling apart, trying to build something terrible in the dark. In the end, these bunkers, ruins, and documents aren't just about the past. They ask questions of us today, about legacy, about memory, and about what we choose to preserve. As we draw to a close, let's shift the spotlight to a name that's lived under a very different kind of attention: Leonardo DiCaprio. From his early days on Growing Pains to his breakout role in Titanic, Leo's evolution has been both cinematic and personal. But behind the camera-ready smile is a life woven with high-stakes decisions and financial finesse. His garage is home to a fleet of rare rides: a Fisker Karma, Tesla Roadster, and even a hybrid Porsche Cayenne. When he's not driving electric, he's flying private, thanks to his stake in a luxury aviation company. His real estate portfolio includes eco-friendly mansions in Malibu, a sustainable island in Belize, and multiple apartments in New York. He wears Tag Heuer and Rolex with effortless ease. Leo has invested in sustainable fashion, plant-based foods, and tech startups. He holds hefty insurance on his productions, body, and even environmental advocacy ventures. The key takeaway? Balance passion with diversification. Leo spends big, but always where value meets vision. These celebrity stories, whether buried in wartime ruins or played out on red carpets, remind us that what's behind the scenes is often more complex, more human, and more compelling than what we see up front. Let us know in the comments what discovery or detail caught you off guard today, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that dig beneath the surface.